All right, we are live. Thank you to everybody who is here. Thank you to everybody who's going to be joining us. The winning streak is over at 18 games as the Phoenix Suns lose to the very talented and arguably the second best team in the NBA, the Golden State Warriors. Before we get started, we'll wait about a minute or so. I'm here with my friend and my guest, Super Mario Hoops 24. Super Mario, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Obviously, it is a shame that the Suns did lose today, but yeah, and I will, kind of adjust what you said there. I'd say the Warriors are arguably the third best team in the NBA. My
Good.
Chicago Bulls
We'll talk.
still exist,
We'll talk about it.
but yeah, I mean, thanks again for having me on. I don't know if I even said that last time, but
It's all good.
I think this should be a good stream.
Yeah, man. Thank you for joining me as always. And again, you're invited on at any time. Also, I know that you put out a new episode of Baloney Basketball with our good friend Romp 2.0. You want to tell us a
Yes, I
little bit
did.
about that episode?
Yes, I did. So today I put on my own channel, me and the very one and only Romp
The one
2.0.
and only Romp 2.0.
We talked all stuff about the NBA, like the Utah Jazz, how they've been up and then down. We talked about the John Wall news, like how he wants to come back. We talked about his guy Embiid, his low key mortal enemy Nikola Jokic. And then we did NBA trivia, and I know you guys liked when I did that with Suns Geek, so
So much
yeah,
fun.
had to incorporate that every single week. So that's kind of just a little bit of a rundown of like what we did for the show today.
So once again, go check out Super Mario Hoops 24 channel. And before we get started, I didn't drink as much as I drank last live stream, obviously because there's not too much to celebrate. But you know what? I do want to crack open a beer and just celebrate the Suns' 18-game winning streak. I mean, this doesn't happen every season. It's not like this happens every season to the Phoenix Suns, and this is worth celebrating. Win or lose, I love this Phoenix Suns team. So cheers to the winning streak. Cheers to the Phoenix Suns. So delicious. So let's go ahead and dive right into this, man. It kind of was a ball game for a little bit. That I don't think this game was as far fetched as the media is probably going to point it out to be, and certain Warriors fans will point it out to be. I mean, end of the first quarter, 28-21. Mikhail Bridges, who, by the way, I don't think has missed a game like the last 4 seasons, eventually went out with a dislocated pinky, which we will talk about that later. But one thing I noticed right away from the Warriors was just the solid defense. And I kind of want to credit Andrew Wiggins, who was playing basically like 94 feet on Chris Paul, literally took the ball out of his hands, took his playmaking ability out of his hands. And, think, I'm not the biggest fan of Point Booker, but I mean, the fact that Booker wasn't on there to give you about 4 or 5 assists per game, which he can do, I think that was a big impact. And I tweeted this out on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter, by the way. I said the Suns got punched in the mouth early, and it showed. The Warriors were just quick. They were just getting off great shots. Stephen Curry was Steph Curry, which we'll talk about him a little bit later. One thing I did notice, though, was there was one point where the Suns were down 34-21, and then they just responded. This team showed how deep they are with or without their best players. It was like a 7-0 run by the Suns, and they just kept clawing back into this game somehow all the way up until the third quarter, which we'll get to that too. So Super Mario, just your quick takeaways. I mean, obviously we got lots to talk about. We got to talk about Mikael Bridges, Steph Curry, this game. So what is your reaction to the Suns winning streak finally being snapped?
I mean, well, I think I even said this on your last stream, but like it was gonna happen like
Eventually.
eventually.
Mm-hmm.
It's just unrealistic to predict the team winning 78 straight games. So yeah, like we knew it was gonna happen eventually. And the Warriors, they've been one of the best teams in the league so far this year.
Facts.
I mean, I just think I don't know. It seemed like in the third quarter, and maybe this is just something to do with the third quarter Warriors. It just seemed like the Suns kind of like gave in. if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like they kind of are just like, you know what, like we broke the franchise record. You know, we've gone all this way. Like it's going to take so much effort. We're down Booker. You know, Bridges like is
Not
limited.
100%.
Yeah, so I don't know. It just seemed like they kind of like gave in after that. But the one thing that was saving them was this guy who's not on the roster, and he goes by two names, free throws. I mean, it was literally the difference in the game.
I
Because,
did want to talk to you about that too. I'm glad you brought that up.
I mean, the Suns just shot horrible from the field and also from three. The free throw line, which they also really didn't shoot too great from there. I mean, that was kind of like their last resort. I think I have the stuff pulled up here. Scored 26 points from the free throw line. The Warriors had 9. You know, that's a 17-point difference, and they lost by 22.
And we're not that good of a team at getting to the free throw line. I remember even last year, that was something we struggled with.
Without that, though, like it's almost a 40-point game.
Yeah, we would have gotten blown out.
And I just don't know. See, this is why I said last stream, like, I don't know how I feel about guys like Landry Shamet and Elfrid Payton. I know Elfrid Payton didn't really play much today, but like, Landry Shamet.
He played a lot.
He played a lot. He's a little bit up and down. He has his moments.
He had a few good shots in there. He played okay.
I thought he started off good. I think he cooled off a little bit.
Yeah.
But man, as a Chicago Bulls fan, I got flashbacks. Right. First of all, on the other side, Otto Porter, 1 for 5 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3. That's the Otto Porter I remember. And then, my God, Cameron Payne, 3 for 17.
He killed us.
He was a Payne, literally. My dad was texting me in the game, and he said, Cameron Payne is a Payne, like to watch or something. But he was just awful, and he was on minus 30. But and then there's some other guys on the bench. Like I don't know how I feel about Ish Wainwright. Eventually he's gonna get there, I think, but I don't know. And yeah, this is why they kind of probably need to make a move and get a guy that could come off the bench and fill the void of Booker for the time he's gone, or in case like something like this happens again. I saw someone say like bring back Langston Galloway or something. I don't know if maybe that's the answer, but I don't know. Like Ish Wainwright, I actually had to check like what he did last year because I checked this year. I don't think he's made a 3-pointer. He's only played like 4 games. Yeah. Hasn't got much playing time. So I'm like, okay, what did this dude do before? Yeah. And he shot a decent amount of threes, but didn't really shoot him that well. So I don't know if that's going to be the answer for floor spacing. And when you're playing the Warriors, who are one of the best floor spacing teams, you're probably going to get exposed for that. But that's the other thing too. I think that they couldn't buy into playing with the Warriors. And I think that's what the bench did. You saw like, campaign, he made some quick, like ill-advised decisions. Guys like when Landry Shamet was out there sometimes, even Mikael Bridges, but of course, he is limited. Cam Johnson. It just seemed like they were making some ill-advised decisions, going too fast. And then that's you just can't do that, I don't think, with the Warriors, because then they'll put up 3 after 3 after 3. And that was kind of one of the biggest differences in the game, in my opinion.
And I can make excuses for the Phoenix Suns all day. I mean, we were going off a back-to-back on the road. And, we've been playing a lot. The Warriors had 2 days off. Obviously, no Booker. Bridges with the pinky, excuse me. And that obviously took a lot out of him. But this is what I don't understand about basketball. Maybe just this era of basketball is somehow the Suns were down 3 at halftime. That made no sense to me. They closed out on a 8-0 run. But you are right. The third quarter is what did it for us. Just our bench was absolutely terrible. I don't have campaign's worst games in front of me. But my guy, Andrew Leza, said this is arguably – no, he didn't even say arguably. He said this is campaign's worst game as a Phoenix Sun, and it showed. And I think Monty Williams trusted him and really our bench maybe a little too long. I'm not saying that a Mikhail Bridges injured starting lineup should do it all, but you got to kind of wonder if that's what they should have done, especially with no Booker in there. And just the offense looked out of sync and just – just from the get-go, the Suns got punched in the mouth, and I cannot say that enough. I mean, just that swarming defense by the Warriors and Steph Curry being Steph. And I do want to get your thoughts on Steph Curry. I felt like we did our best with him, but the Warriors just did a better job of getting him open. And Steph Curry's already great by himself at getting open. So, yeah, you are right. It was our third quarter. The Suns' third quarter. It was our bench just being absolutely terrible. In fact, I kind of want to jump into that. The bench numbers for the Suns. Let me pull it up real quick. I'm sorry. I got the box score. Here we go. So Phoenix Suns bench. Our highest score off the bench was Cameron Johnson, who played 33 minutes tonight. I kind of hold him as an unofficial starter. Jalen Smith had 7 points in 3 minutes, but it didn't really matter. JaVale McGee, 6 points. Elfrid Payton, 2 points. And we talked about Cam Payne, a miserable 3 for 17 from the field. Just horrible. And even if we had Booker, if our bench performed like that, it would have been bad. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, I think, well, I was just totaling up what exactly they shot. So the whole Suns bench shot 12 of 39 for the game, which is like 31% from the field. And from three, they shot 3 of 11, which is less than 30%. So, I mean, this is not very good.
And by the way, sorry to cut you off, we're the number one team in field goal percentage, and we shot 38% tonight. So, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. But yeah, I just think that was kind of like a big part of the game. Like other things, like obviously the defense wasn't all there. I mean, the Warriors ended up with like 118, which I think is more than the worst rated, defense this year. But I don't know. It just seemed like with Andrew Wiggins, for example, and he started the game off, hitting a lot of shots, but I don't know. It just didn't seem the same as last game. Like he was kind of attacking everyone at will, and I get he's stronger than your average small forward, but he shouldn't be stronger than your average big man like DeAndre Ayton. And I don't know how many times that he just finished right over him,
I'm so glad you said that because there were just so many moments with this Phoenix Suns team where I felt like anybody could score in the Warriors on the Suns at any time. Like, whether it was inside the paint or mid-range or three, just the Suns defense just did not have it tonight. It was really frustrating to watch. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there weren't a few good defensive moments here and there, but that's why I said that comment earlier where I was like, I don't really understand how the Suns had a pretty bad half and we're only down 3 points, and then they would make runs in this game and somehow still be in it. But you're right. There were just so many possessions this game where the Warriors just could score at will. And the Suns, it was just their energy. And I honestly think just the Warriors being so aggressive on defense and obviously a great start to the game, I think it shocked the Suns. And I hate to say this, but we've seen that before. We've seen it a little bit this season. We've seen it a lot last season where if the Suns get punched in the mouth early, they have trouble winning the games. So,
yeah, I was trying to look at like you even mentioned, like how they did as good a job as they could on, Steph, and he shot really good from three today. I think he was 6 of 11.
Yeah, and he had like a lot of those, I think, in the first half, which that made me nervous right away. Yeah, 6 for 11.
And from 2-point range, I mean, he did go 2 for 9, so I guess the interior defense was working on him. Yeah. I'm trying to look, though. In the second quarter, he shot 2 of 5 from 3, and in the first quarter he shot 2 of 2, and that was kind of like the main parts where Mikhail Bridges was out, as he was kind of the primary defender on him last game. So maybe the injury did have an effect.
He just looked out of it. I mean, a dislocated pinky, I've never had that, but that just sounds extremely painful. Do you felt like maybe as a team they did pretty well guarding Curry in the second half, or do you think it was Mikhail Bridges just being Mikhail? What did you think about that?
I think they did a good job guarding him when he initiated a play, if that makes sense. I mean, I think there's one I could vividly remember where he actually did score on. I think it was the like one step back he did from the right corner or something like
Yeah.
that. But other than that, like he wasn't really getting a ton of like great looks like from
Yeah.
creating his own shot. I think most of it was like his off ball movement, and that's such a big part of his own game that you got to credit that where it's due. But I don't know. I think that they did a pretty good job there, but it's not even just him. Like they gave Jordan Poole a lot of open looks. They gave Wiggins some open looks. Gary Payton the second, which normally you'd probably want him having open looks, but
That guy's a
tonight
beast.
the dude shot 3 of 5 from three. So it's like, what are you gonna do?
What's his name? Juan Toscano Anderson. He had a pretty big game tonight, I thought. And obviously with Steph Curry, it doesn't really matter who's guarding you or how great the defense is because the guy just throws it up in the air. But then again, we've done a pretty good job on him these last two games, all things considering. Roland says the game was really a battle until the third, which I do agree with. But these battles will pay off for both teams. The regular season is just all about getting ready for the playoffs. I'm impressed with the Suns team defense. And I had somebody on Twitter say, good game by the Phoenix Suns, good winning streak, and he was a Warriors fan. So shout out to all the nice Warriors fans. I saw some trolls tonight out on Twitter, and it kind of made me mad. But thank you to everybody who is joining the stream right now. I'm live with my friend and my guest, Super Mario Hoops 24. Go ahead, ask us questions, leave your thoughts and comments. I'm trying to get to all of them, but I don't really know how to express my feelings right now. I'm not mad, obviously. We're 18-1 in our last 19 games, but I'm maybe a little bothered by the loss and how it all played out, but I don't really know if I should be because it's like we lost to a great team. It's not like we lost to the terrible Oklahoma City Thunder, which, by the way, I do want to get your thoughts later on that 73-point loss.
Yeah.
I actually really did. But yeah, so I don't know, man. Let's go ahead and just look at the numbers here. Somebody who I thought was.
Wait.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What were you gonna say? I was just gonna ask you something before that. Like, and this is like a question like with the Suns, but like I know he took 2 of them today. But I kind of want to know, like, what do you think about like Chris Paul? Like, do you think he's avoiding the 3-point line a lot more now? Because I feel like I pulled up his stuff before the stream here today, and this is the lowest 3-point attempts he's had in a season since his days in New Orleans. And I mean, he only took 2 today. He really didn't look like he was active in trying to even get 3-pointers. Like, do you think that he's kind of like letting that part of his game fade?
Thank you for bringing that question up. I feel like I should have already talked about that already. Chris Paul's been weird on offense this year. If I remember correctly, I think he's averaging 14 a game. Someone correct me on that if I'm wrong. But he's really only been aggressive offensively when he needs to be. Now, from the 3-point line, you could maybe make the argument maybe he should have been a little more aggressive. I don't know if it was Andrew Wiggins, who all of a sudden became the greatest defender in the league tonight. Maybe that shook him. Maybe they literally took him out of the game because that's what I saw. I don't know what Chris Paul did tonight. Like, that's how much of an impact their defense was. Chris Paul, 32 minutes, 4 from 8 from the field, 12 points and 8 assists. It's like that was a quiet 12 and 8 for Chris Paul. And he can have those quiet nights. But tonight, I really felt like he was just out of the game. So hopefully that answers your question. Maybe he should have been a little more aggressive from 3 because, again, he's only been scoring, which, by the way, is a good thing in the clutch in the fourth quarter, but that usually those points don't come until the second half.
Yeah, I just feel like, I mean, just for his career, he averages 3.5 attempts from 3 per game, and I just checked like where he ranks on the all-time list, 39th most ever for 3-pointers made. So I just feel like that guy not getting enough 3-point looks. I don't know. It just seems weird, And I get it, like he's initiating the offense, he has to be like the distributor and stuff like that. But I don't know, like it just seemed like from the last game, two games ago, because they played the Pistons the other day, but 2 games ago, like against the Warriors, like they were moving the ball just as good, if not better than the Warriors, really. And they were getting more and more looks. I don't have it pulled up like how many threes he took in that game, but I feel like that would be like more of an opportune time to get open looks from three. And, tonight he just simply wasn't. So I don't know. And it's not like it's just something new with today because, like I said, he's averaging his least amount of attempts since the 2010-2011 season. So
Right.
I don't know. It just seems like something that he's kind of like, taking away from, his overall game.
Shout out to everybody in the chat. For the most part, I'm seeing a lot of positivity in here. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to look at the numbers. Jay Crowder was somebody who I thought was actually pretty good in this game. He didn't shoot great from three, but he had 11 points. I thought his energy and effort was really good tonight. He had 3 steals and 3 assists. Mikael Bridges did all that he could, especially after coming back, which props to Mikael Bridges. As I mentioned earlier in the stream, if I'm correct, he has not missed a game the last 4 seasons. So I guess I want to talk to you about Mikhail Bridges real quick. And obviously, he did probably seem a little fatigued and couldn't really do too much on offense. There is one particular offensive play I do want to talk about later. But what did you see out of Mikhail Bridges tonight before the injury, after the injury? Do you feel like he had a decent game considering the circumstances?
I mean, no. And that's not like it's not to like take away from Mikael Bridges or anything, but I don't know. You just didn't really see enough from him like early on.
I
At
think the
least.
injury took it out of him.
And then from that point on, yeah, it's just like he wasn't doing much. I mean, yeah, like he shot 50% from the field, 100% from three, but at the same time, like, how many guys? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he was the 6th leading scorer on the team.
He wasn't aggressive after the injury.
And you're missing Devin Booker. So really, like, it's almost like he'd be the 7th leading scorer on the team in a normal night. So I don't know. Like, maybe that was part of it. He wasn't really defending like guys like Curry or Jordan Poole quite as much tonight in terms of the percentage of like how much he was on the floor as opposed to like just total minutes in the game because obviously he wouldn't have. But I don't know. It just seemed like it was kind of just like a whatever type of night.
Yeah, I hear you on that. DeAndre Ayton, 32 minutes, 7 for 16 from the field, 23 points, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks. He had a okay game, but there were a lot of moments where he was really frustrating to watch. The dude just needs to get better at just realizing he's the biggest player on the court and just slamming it down. Not even just slamming it down, just be aggressive, man. There were so many times where he would miss at the rim or he would avoid contact, and that's just that comes with growth. It comes with time, but he's what, 3rd season in, and just got denied a max contract. It's like, but he was okay. If there was maybe one positive in this game, it was him. I mean, I don't think the Warriors could stop him. It was really himself stopping him. But 23 points, that's still pretty good. Probably could have used a few more rebounds and all that. But there were some really good defensive plays that I saw from Ayton. And then one play that actually involved Mikhail Bridges was kind of late in the game, actually. Somebody shot it, I think, and he like went up for the rebound and he caught it and he chucked it to Mikhail Bridges in the corner. That was one of the best passes I've ever seen him do. And shout out to Mikhail Bridges with that dislocated pinky, made it. And that was if we would have had like 10 more of those, that would have been a big momentum swing for the Suns. So, again, not the worst game from Ayton, but a few frustrating moments here and there. And again, I hate to use the injuries excuse, but this is kind of where you do miss Devin Booker. Even if Booker was having an off night shooting, you just kind of miss his presence out there. You miss his floor spacing. You miss his playmaking. Booker's kind of a really quiet, good rebounder, in my opinion, and it just sucks, man. So, any thoughts on DeAndre Ayton tonight?
I mean, I think he started off good.
He started off great.
I feel like it's always the same thing every time I watch the Phoenix Suns, and it's just like DeAndre Ayton will get off to a good start, and then it seems like he
evaporates in the second half.
Yeah, and I think maybe part of that is just like he gets tired and he just doesn't feel as aggressive, or the fact that he just doesn't get involved enough. And I think maybe if I'm like Chris Paul, like I go talk to Ayton and tell him about that. Like, look, nobody can stop you, and I'm sure like he would enjoy to like boost his stats, especially if it meant winning. So I don't know, like, and then also he'd have to talk to guys like Cameron Payne off the bench. Like Payne tonight had 2 assists and he had 2 turnovers. And
he shot miserably.
And he took the most shots on the team. Mm-hmm. And not only that, but like you said, he shot like straight doo-doo. So yeah. I mean, come on, like that's not a point guard at that point. That's like a combo guard.
And I know that Chris Paul has had these conversations with them. Well, I don't know that for sure. I'm just from what I've seen and read and all that, but pretty sure he's had these conversations. But I think it comes from an experience and a mental thing. I think it's mental with DeAndre Ayton, and I think it's experience for Cam Payne. Cam Payne should be kicking himself after this game. And I love Cam Payne. Great success story, in my opinion. But tonight, just one of those bad nights. And I don't know why this makes me laugh, but my dog knows. He says, why did Monty stay with an ice-cold Payne when Shamet was hitting his shots? I guess if there's only one harp on, by the way, the coach of the month, obviously, no surprise there, Monty Williams. If that's the one like gripe and nitpick I can say with Monty Williams is sometimes I feel like he trusts his players a little too much, and that's fine. Like I'm biased, it's my Phoenix Suns. I love them and everything. I'm going to defend them. These are Monty Williams players. He loves these guys like family, but sometimes he trusts them at the wrong moments. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I guess to even add to, well, first of all, I'll mention we actually both of us here have Coach of the Month representatives because Billy Donovan also won it. So
yeah, I forgot about that. Congratulations.
That's pretty unique. But no, like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like something that I've been noticing recently, and I've noticed it like a lot from the beginning of the season too. Like it just seems like they get him involved, and then like things just slow down. And you're right. Like he probably does. I'm sure Chris Paul does talk to him, but it's like you gotta like instill it in them a little bit.
Facts.
Like you gotta like say it over and over again. You gotta make it like something serious that they like actually, do consistently. And I don't know. It just seems like, I mean, back in my day, I'll say this. Back in my day,
like you're an old man like me.
Believe it or not, I did play basketball. I know, crazy. And I had some teammates where it's like you could tell them whatever, and they just won't do it. Like
see, it's all mental, man. Especially with DeAndre Ayton.
And I even remember one vividly who would even like throw tantrums and stuff. I'm not saying DeAndre Ayton's gonna throw tantrums, but like there's people that just like won't listen and like won't buy in. And I feel like, they got to the finals last year. They were 2 games away. So it's like if you kind of need to do that to get over that last step, the final boss. So I don't know, like it might not only be him. Maybe it's just partially like when the bench unit gets involved with him, like guys like Cameron Payne aren't feeding him the ball, or Elfrid Payton when he's in. So maybe that's part of it too. But I don't know, like something needs to change there because there's really nobody that should have stopped DeAndre Ayton today. I mean,
especially since Kevon Looney was in foul trouble.
Then he was in foul trouble, and to put it simply, like he's not stopping DeAndre Ayton.
And I don't think even Draymond Green really could do much. Maybe a few plays here and there, but I didn't see much out of Draymond Green tonight.
The only guy that was going to stop Ayton tonight was Ayton.
Facts. Exactly.
Simple as that. And I mean, like, yeah, that won't be the case every night because it's like, you got your Rudy Gobert's out there and your like Bam Adebayo's maybe.
Jokic.
Although he does have the size advantage on Bam. But
yeah,
my point is that like this is a game. It's like I thought maybe if the Warriors had a Wiseman, then it would make sense because it's like, he's kind of more athletic.
He's got that length.
Yeah, he's got that length. And he's also what I think is probably stronger than Kevon Looney. I guess that's up for debate. But I don't know. Like tonight, especially when he's in foul trouble, like you got to get him the ball more.
First off, we're about 30 minutes in. If you guys are just joining the live stream, thank you for joining, by the way. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Like I said, for the most part, lots of positivity in the chat, although I feel like I'm kind of being a negative Nelly tonight, but I like to tell it how it is. And I'm with my friend and my guest, Super Mario Hoops 24. Go check out his content on YouTube. And by the way, just so you guys know, we are not blaming this whole loss on DeAndre Ayton. We are just making a point. If you guys follow my videos and if you guys follow my live streams, you know I'm Ayton's biggest critic, but I'm also his biggest believer. And in my opinion, it is just a mental thing. But let's be real, Super Mario. This was a team loss tonight. The Suns were not good. Let's be real. Like, I hate to sound like a negative Nelly, but they're just not that good. And not that good in this game, I should say. And people are saying, our defense is why most players didn't play good. I think it was really just the Warriors' defense. I think they just punched us in the mouth with their defense. And Carter says, hey, man, going to Phoenix in the spring. We'll be seeing the Suns. Go, Suns, go. Love watching your videos, man. Shout out to Carter. Shout out to Ty Guy, another NBA content creator, Cleveland Cavaliers fan. I've quietly been on their bandwagon all season. They're playing really good basketball. Later, if you're down, we can talk about some other NBA teams and all that. Amanda, who's also a supporter of the channel, says Warriors had 2 days off and the Suns had less than 24 hours of rest. Also, we shot the ball under 40% from the field, so we should not be worried. I'm not worried at all. And I did kind of point that out. I said we were the number one team in field goal percentage coming into this game, and we shot a miserable 38%. Now, I've seen teams win, I think, shooting 38%, but that's rare for the Phoenix Suns. So, yeah, I don't really know if I have anything else, man, in terms of this game. I think Chris Paul should have maybe been more aggressive on offense. I think this was a team collective loss. Lots of things that Monty Williams is probably going to get on them for, but we're still 18-1 in our last 19 games. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was just checking, like, the true efficiency for the game, and so – and just in terms of like true shooting percentage, the Warriors tonight shot 60.65%, which I mean that's roughly, it's a little bit above league average, I'd say.
Yeah.
And then the Suns shot 49.79%. So that's huge. I mean, it's literally like over 10%. So your odds are there you're probably not going to win. I mean, one good thing I guess for the Suns is that like they did force quite a bit of turnovers for the Warriors, even though they were like hitting their shots and getting a lot of open shots.
And we saw last game that the Warriors turned the ball over a lot.
So I feel like a lot of those, like a lot of their forced turnovers though, were just like, let me pull it back up. Okay.
Plus the fouls too.
They had 8 steals to the 16 turnovers. I feel like a lot of them were just like steals at the top of the key or something like that, because I think Bridges had 1. I think Crowder had like 2 or something. Yep. So I don't know, like maybe that's a good sign.
Crowder's somebody who I thought actually had a really good game. And don't get me wrong, like I said, there was a battle kind of in the first half, but I feel like after that miserable third quarter, the game was pretty much over. And the Suns are from what I know, they're one of the best teams that, in stealing the ball, and they just have great active hands and a lot of great defensive players on this game. I'm trying to see what else went right for the Phoenix Suns tonight. I mean,
Crowder did play pretty good, I'd say. I mean, like you said, like he didn't shoot great, but
yeah,
I think his defense was good. And I think like when he was out there, like you said too, he provided like a good spark for them. I mean, they outscored the Warriors when he was on the court, so that's always good.
Sometimes I overlook Crowder. Like he'll have actually pretty good games, even if it's not just statistically, and I won't talk about it. So I want to give him credit where credit is due. He's a veteran and a starter in this league for a reason, and we signed him to that deal for a reason. He's been a huge impact on this team quietly. So shout out to Jay Crowder.
Well, I think this is kind of like why I said last stream. I compared him. I said he's like the third Morris brother. I think that's what I said to you. Or maybe I said that off stream to you. But I said that because like he can be streaky for one. And 2, he can have his moments where he can – I mean, he's a solid defender, just like really both of the Morrises. But, he can have his moments where maybe he gets – hot in terms of making his shots, and then also hot in terms of, he's heated,
Right.
And sometimes that could be like a detriment to the team. But I don't know, like tonight, I think he did his job well. And I guess it's kind of ironic because, Marcus Morris played pretty well for the Clippers. So I don't know. I guess there's that.
I don't mind the loss. I'm worried about how healthy the Suns are right now. Thank you for bringing this up, Red. I don't know how to pronounce that last part of the name, but thank you, Red. I'm not. Let's be real. Every team in the league is injured, for the most part, and there's obviously stuff, COVID issues and health and safety protocols and all that. But I might kind of be waving a red flag in terms of the Suns and injuries. You got to kind of maybe wonder if they'll give Mikhail Bridges a game off. I don't think they will because Mikhail Bridges just loves playing like Devin Booker does. And obviously he was good enough to come back into this game, but obviously Dario Saric is out for a long time. We don't know when he'll come back, maybe April, maybe May. Frank Kaminsky's out. Booker, it's like you got to kind of wonder. And you were talking about Ish Wainwright earlier. That's a guy who I have neglected on this channel just because I've been busy with other stuff. I think we picked him up due to the injuries, and that dude's a beast, by the way. I guess he played like 3 years of Baylor football or something like that. Monty Williams sings his praises and all that. But yeah, you got to kind of wonder if like maybe there's going to be a trade in the foreseeable future, or maybe we're going to have to sign some people, because every time a Phoenix Suns player fell down tonight, I got scared. Like I legit did. So I don't know. Do you have any thoughts? I guess we kind of talked about it earlier, but just any thoughts on the Suns injury situation and maybe just injuries around the league? Like what do you think?
I mean, I feel like, yeah, like I've been seeing a few teams that it seems like their depth has been going down. I mean, obviously the Nets, like, they're kind of built for like a 3-star team, and then Kyrie Irving comes out. And now it just seems like he got a top 2 and not much.
Nick Claxton's out, I think, too, for them.
And Joe Harris, too.
Yeah, I forgot about Joe Harris.
Blake Griffin's out of the rotation just by coach decision. I mean, even my Chicago Bulls, like I wouldn't even really say we're a deep team. I think we probably go about 8, maybe 9 deep, which is good for the playoffs. But regular
Patrick
season,
Williams is out.
Yeah. So really it's about probably 7 or 8. And the Suns, like, I feel like they're around like the 9 range. Like I think even when they're healthy.
Yeah, we've been playing about 9 guys most of the season. You're right.
But I just don't think like some of those guys, like I'm gonna be real, and I'm gonna like exclude Devin Booker right now because like he's not playing tonight. Yeah. But the only guard I trust for the Suns is Chris Paul. Simple as that. I mean, I don't trust Landry Shamet. I don't trust Cameron Payne. Don't trust Elfrid Payton for sure. And I mean, I think Ish Wainwright, like, I don't know. It seemed like they were using him a lot as like a guard tonight, but I don't know. Like, he should be used as like a 3 or a 4. And he's kind of like undersized, I guess, for that. But
so is Draymond Green.
Yeah, especially when you play the Warriors. That's exactly what I was just going to say. I mean, like, why not run it? But I kind of have like a hot take, I guess I'll give. For the Suns, I'm looking at their next 8 games, and they got the Spurs, the Celtics, Clippers, Blazers, Wizards, Hornets, Lakers, and Thunder. And then the next one would be Christmas against the Warriors. But I think in those 8 games, they're going to go 7-1.
Yeah.
And I think they'll lose to the Clippers, but I think they'll win the rest of them.
This sounds cocky, this sounds biased, but I could honestly see another winning streak happening, even if it is like 7 or 8 games. And, the Bucks had an 8-game winning streak. The Houston Rockets of all teams are currently on a 5-game winning streak. Kind of wanted to get your thoughts about them later. But, yeah, well, I could see another streak happening. I could see us winning a lot of those games.
I mean, as long as the Suns end up with 11 losses or more in the season, then I'm good. I'm doing good. However they get there, it doesn't matter.
I did want to ask you about that Juan Toscano-Anderson poster on JaVale McGee. I just kind of wanted to get your quick thoughts on that. Was there anything you saw from that?
I mean, like, I don't know. It just seems like the Warriors have such like weird. They have like a weird mix of players now. Like guys like Juan Toscano or Gary Payton. I saw like freaking I think Damian Lee posterized someone like back when he was like before his injury. I know he played like barely tonight, but the point is that like I don't know, like they have a weird mix, like guys that'll just like freaking throw down, and then at the same time it's like you got elite defenders like Draymond, Wiggins has played well. And then, you got the reincarnated version. So Jordan Poole, don't even have Clay. And then, of course, Steph Curry.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's just like a weird mix of players, but I mean, they're kind of making it work. So.
Yeah, it works apparently. I mean, they got a lot of studs on their team, and they're obviously one of the best teams in the league. So thank you for breaking down the Suns' upcoming schedule. Again, in 2006, 2007, the Suns put together 2 different winning streaks, which at the time was the franchise record. It ended up being 17. I'm not saying we're going to do that again, but this was a very special 18 franchise record, game winning streak. But again, I could maybe see the Suns winning a few games, and I'm looking forward to it. I know I'm kind of a negative Nelly tonight. I'm just trying to tell how it is. I know the Suns are going to bounce back from this. I'm sure Monty's going to get on them. I'm sure they're going to work on some things, and we will see you Warriors on Christmas Day. So just before we talk about other things, NBA, do you have any final thoughts on this game or just any other takeaways from this game before we kind of end the Suns talk here?
Not really. I mean, I will say it did feel good to see Otto Porter become the Otto Porter I remember today on the Chicago Bulls.
I'm like, I don't even know what he did tonight. I don't even know if he was a factor in the game.
He had more fouls than points. So yeah, I mean that's pretty reminiscent of the good old days.
Right. All right. So I think all the games have been played tonight, and I like to do that. I don't know why I like to do this on my channel, but I like to dive into the it's still fairly early in the season. I mean, we're over 20 games by now, but it's like a small percentage of the 82 game long season. Before we talk about the standings, though, can I get your thoughts on the Memphis Grizzlies domination? And I mean that domination of the Oklahoma City Thunder last night, 73-point victory. I would tell people to go watch the highlights, but there literally was no highlights. It was all Grizzlies. The Thunder are a team that is extremely young, and they have like 37 future draft picks in the next 7 drafts or something like that. And their best player is SGA. Beyond that, they don't really have much help. So what did you think about that dominating performance?
I mean, like when you shoot horrible from the field, then horrible from 3, and you have double the turnovers, like I mean, you're gonna probably lose. Now, I don't know if you'll lose by 73, but I mean,
the biggest margin loss in NBA history.
It was.
And as Ty Guy says, without Ja Morant too. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, and the old one I think was actually the Cleveland Cavaliers like 30 years ago or something.
Yeah, it's like 60 something. There was like 2 of them in the 90s that were like 60 something point losses.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Oh wait, go ahead.
I was gonna say, sorry to interrupt you. I remember the Suns. For all you real Suns fans, you might remember this. We had a 48-point loss in like 2018 to the Blazers, and that was a bad night.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just like, I just pulled up the box score here, and I'm kind of wondering, like, I know, like, this stat doesn't really matter, like, in the grand scheme of things, but I wonder what the worst plus minus is in NBA history, and if it just happened in that game the other day.
Facts.
Because I see Jeremiah Robinson Earl had a minus 56. I mean, that's just really bad. But I saw someone say something like all the players that played for the Thunder that game, and also like the coach, like need to be, not paid like for that game at all. I'm like, geez,
people would probably hate me if I was an NBA coach, and I understand you don't want to kick your team when they're down, but honestly, I would have my team run suicides after that game. I'd be like, you guys were trash. Like, and again, you probably don't want to do that to NBA professionals, but I would. I would have
I
had them
mean,
run suicides after the game.
I just feel like, I mean, like, who was it?
Tyga says,
Like
"Hey, don't bring that up."
I'm sorry for that.
He's a Cavs fan, so.
But yeah, but like even Ty guys said, like they didn't have Ja Morant,
Yeah, that's bad.
and it's not even just him, but they didn't have Kyle Anderson.
Mhm.
He's a rotation player. They didn't have Zaire Williams. So it's like they were missing a few guys that like actually play for them. So it's like, yeah, you could sit here and say, oh, the Thunder didn't have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but it's like, dude, they
Even
didn't.
if they did, I think they would have gotten blown out.
I mean, the Grizzlies didn't have that much. I mean, like, yeah, they had Dylan Brooks back. They have Jaren Jackson Jr., who's been playing pretty great lately. But like Tyus Jones starting, Xavier Tillman, John Concar, who went crazy. My God, that guy was insane. Like in the whole fourth quarter, I'm like, this dude's he's going for the record, like biggest blowout ever. It seemed like he couldn't miss. But yeah, I mean, they just, I mean, it was just a bad beatdown, honestly. But
Right.
I will say something that let's not forget that this is the Thunder team that has beat the Lakers not once but twice this year.
Exactly.
So what does that say about the Lakers?
And you know what? I'm going to do the cliche Suns geek thing that I always do because I'm a fan of bad teams. It's going to take probably 5 or 7, 10 years, but you know what? The Thunder have a bright future, baby. I mean, all those draft picks, you got to do something with them. Maybe trade for some veterans, maybe trade for some good players. Some of their youth might develop. We'll see. Like Lou Dort's a pretty good player. SGA is borderline all-star. They got a few other guys that I'm probably forgetting to mention. Maybe 5 years from now, we'll be on this live stream and we'll say, man, Thunder are good this year. You never know. It can happen quick. Look at the Phoenix Suns, man. The Suns literally put out one of the youngest rosters in NBA history, and then fast forward a couple years later, and we're going to the finals. So you just never know, man. That's my thoughts on the Oklahoma City Thunder. But I literally posted it on my Instagram just so I could have like that little piece of NBA history because I've never seen that in my lifetime. So it was crazy, man.
I mean, that's true. I just don't think that, and I don't know like who's gonna. Well, I feel like no one will really roast me in here. It's Suns Geek channel. But I just don't think like someone like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is like gonna be on par with Devin Booker. And I don't know if like,
Yeah.
I mean, Lou Dort's been nice. Actually, he has the second longest active streak for most threes made or a 3-pointer made in a game, only behind Curry. So I mean that's pretty elite class. But I mean outside of that, like you look at their roster, like yeah, Josh Giddey, who also didn't play in that game.
He's been pretty good actually this season, but he's a rookie.
He's been solid.
TikTok king. He's always on TikTok.
Maybe you could say like Pokachevsky, although like he didn't get many minutes the other night. I don't know if he's like injured or something, but the point is like a lot of these guys are gonna have to go, and I don't know if really any of them have like trade value that would move the needle if you were to like put 4 or 5 picks toward like a star. You know what I mean? It would just be like, we'll take him. Like one of those like assets. It's like okay, and then we just like waive him or put him as a 2-way contract or something.
And plus, we haven't even really talked about salary and contracts and all that. It's like I would not want to be the Thunder management in front office right now.
I just don't know how many of those guys. Like, there's probably 4 or so guys, I'd say, that should be part of the long term. And even when they do like reach their best, I really don't know if they're guys. I mean, Shai's going to be pretty good. I'm not going to say my hot take again on Shai. I'm not trying to start something, but you know my hot take on Shai. And then, guys like Lou Dort will be solid. I just don't know if anyone else will be like that top tier player. I just think they're all kind of, as people say, mid.
Right. I just want to address Amanda's comment real quick, and then we'll dive into the NBA standings. But some Suns fans are calling Suns frauds just because of today's game. Amanda, I don't know who those people are, but they're probably just angry, and they shouldn't be. They should look at what the Suns have done the last 3 years. Yes, before the bubble, and after the bubble.
as if they didn't beat the Warriors 3 days ago
Yeah,
without Devin Booker.
and it's not like we just won 18 games in a row or anything. So whoever those Suns fans are, probably not real Suns fans, and you should probably just ignore them. And don't get me wrong, I'll respond to the occasional Suns troll here and there, and I'll defend my team, but I'd probably just ignore them. So let's dive into the NBA standings. You kind of said something earlier, not that I was bothered by, but I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts. The Bulls are the second best team in the NBA, 15-8. What have you seen from the Bulls this year, and why are they the second best team in the NBA besides my Phoenix Suns?
I mean, I think the Bulls, well, it's a completely different player culture. Like obviously
Right.
having a guy like DeMar DeRozan is going to be huge. I mean, he's a proven veteran. I think people see, I don't like the narrative around DeMar DeRozan because I feel like people say like, oh, he's a playoff choker and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Like, if you really look back at his playoff resume, he's really only had two bad moments, and
Right.
one of them was his first playoff series. Like that's like his playoff debut. And then the second one was the one against the Cavs in 2018, and part of that was kind of on Dwayne Casey not having trust in him, the same guy who got fired literally less than a week after they got eliminated.
Right.
Before they got rid of DeMar. So I don't know, like you could kind of look at it like that, but I mean, I saw what he did even that series with the Spurs. And in the past too, like he's had some great moments in the playoffs. So I feel kind of good like with him going forward. Zach LaVine has been pretty good. I feel like he's kind of like not attacking the basket as much as he usually does. I feel like he could get like, he could draw a lot of fouls by doing so. I mean, DeMar he's leading the league in free throw attempts right now. So
Right.
I think that there's that. And, guys like Lonzo have evolved as a shooter. I know Vucevic started off the year slow and then missed some time, but last few games, he's looked like Nikola Vucevic.
Yeah, didn't he have like 30 the
Magic.
other night or something?
He did, and even
Yeah.
the other night against the Knicks, he had I think 27 and 14. Don't quote me on that, but I know he had like 20, somewhere in like around 25, and I think he had double-digit rebounds.
Yep.
So, that's
That's
like
the Nikola Vucevic that I know.
yeah,
So,
and he was shooting good in the game, and he was actually, I think he's even been able to showcase a little more defensively with this team as well than what he was given credit for in the past. And then, you got your role players like Javonte Green. He's one of my favorite players on the team because
yeah,
he literally always plays hard. Derek Jones Jr., former Sun.
I know him. Mhm.
Yeah. But I think a lot of it too is, and I'll say it and people will think it's a meme, but I think Alex Caruso has a big part in it. Like he's more than just like your typical guy that's, like, oh, like he looks like a plumber and like let's just give him like all the credit and like stuff like that. But no, like he's actually been really good. He's leading the league in steals per game this year.
He's a defensive pest, and I mean that in a good way.
Yeah, and I mean I just saw something today. He's in the 95th percentile for cutters in the league.
Right.
So he's able to like move off the ball.
That's something Mikhail Bridges is great at, by the way.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I just think that he's been huge for the team. He's only missed one game this year. The game we lost, or the game without him, we lost by 30 points to the Indiana Pacers, who I think are the most dysfunctional team in the NBA right now. So, I mean, that says a lot right there. But the one thing I am scared of, and I know he just got credit for it, like, what was it, today, yesterday, something, is Billy Donovan. I'm not sold. I'm really not sold. I feel like he's pretty poor at making a lot of late game adjustments. And yeah, that's something that concerns me. I'm not saying he's the worst coach in the league. I mean, there's a few out there that are worse, but
Yeah.
right now, like I don't know if he's the guy. Like going forward, we'll have to see. Like he could prove me wrong, but he's like my biggest question mark that I'm holding out for the team right now. And I also will say Kobe White's been playing better recently too, but unfortunately he just got COVID.
Right.
But yeah,
Well, thank you for the Bulls insight. I did want to get your feedback on that. And again, I cannot wait till we play the Bulls. I think that they are going to give us a lot of trouble, and that's going to be a
February
fun
7th.
game. Yeah, I can't wait for that. And hopefully we can do a live stream that night. And I've kind of been paying attention to the Bulls even last year. Like after the Nikola Vucevic, I was kind of jumping on their bandwagon and was paying attention to what they're doing. Sucked when Patrick Williams went down, and I agree with you on the Alex Caruso thing. That's a guy that I've learned to respect. At first, I did think he was a meme. That's probably just because of social media and Lakers fans were like overhyping him. But if you actually watch what he does, the guy is a pesky, solid defender. That might be one of the best, maybe, and I mean this in a good way, overlooked pickups this past offseason. I remember when I saw the notification that he was going to the Bulls, I was like, wow, that's a nice pickup. So yeah, shout out to the Chicago Bulls. Go
I
ahead.
think that for Caruso, like he's probably like a top 3 guard defender, like in the
Yeah.
NBA at least. You know,
He did
like
a great job against the Suns in the playoffs. I'll tell you that.
yeah, and like you got your guys like Drew Holiday and
Mm-hmm.
DeJounte Murray, and
Lonzo.
Lonzo's up there. I think Caruso's a better defender than him
Yeah.
personally. And Davion Mitchell, he's a rookie, but he'll be there one day.
Yes, that's my boy right there. I like Davion Mitchell.
But yeah, like you said, he's definitely more than a meme. I think the biggest reason why he became a meme is because, he was following the footsteps of another Laker meme. Do you remember Marcelo Huertas?
I think so a little bit.
I think it might have been against the Suns when he shot that like backwards shot, or was that against the Suns?
It probably was.
But yeah, like I remember that guy was just horrible. He was like a Shackton legend. Played like 1-2 seasons there, and then I think they saw Caruso and they're like, "Oh, this guy is also a guard. He kind of looks funny and stuff like that." And then just decided to make him a meme, but he's an actual player.
Right.
I was actually sorry to keep adding, but I was actually just adding or just checking this one YouTuber. I think it's Pack Hoops, and he's more of like a 2K guy. Like he'll check the ratings and stuff. And he said, actually, and I know this doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things, but he said Caruso joined the 80 overall club for the first time in his career, like on the latest update. So, I mean,
I thought Caruso would have been a little higher than that. I play 2K a lot, but I didn't know that.
Well, maybe in my team, I think that's probably it. But like on the base ratings, because usually there's like maybe 3-4 guys that are 80 or above. But I don't know. I just thought that was kind of a cool fact.
So I'm just going to kind of quickly go through this. I'm not really going to break down every team's record like I normally would. Brooklyn is 16-6. They're 8-2 in their last 10. We just talked about the Chicago Bulls in depth. Miami Heat 14-9. I feel like maybe they're a little better record than their record. Or excuse me, they're a little better than their record shows. The Wizards and Bucks are also 14-9. The Bucks won like 8 straight. Just recently. Cavs are 13-10. I'm on their bandwagon. They've won 4 straight. Hornets, Sixers are right there. Celtics are right there. Even the Hawks are right there. A lot of these teams in the East are playing pretty well, and I feel like a lot of these teams in the East are better than their record shows, in my opinion. I mean, you look at the Eastern Conference, 1-10, there's not too much of a gap, really. Those are just a few of the records that stand out. You made a comment about the Pacers 9-16. They've lost 4 in a row. Even though they have some really talented players, I feel like the Toronto Raptors really fell off after a surprising start to the season. The New York Knicks have so many question marks around them. Yeah. But then you go to the Western Conference. Suns, worst team in the league. No, I'm just kidding. They're 19-4. Warriors 19-3. The Warriors are okay. No, I'm just kidding. Utah Jazz, I heard you talking about them on Baloney Basketball, your newest episode. 15-7. Any quick thoughts on the Jazz? I mean, I don't know if I feel as threatened by them as maybe I did last season. Maybe that's cocky, but I don't know. Maybe I haven't watched enough of them.
Yeah, I mean, like, I will say, I guess, like, you could use the same narrative for the Bucks last season, and like, they were coming off their bubble loss to the Heat, and then they started off the regular season, I think like the 3rd, 4th seed for most of it, and everyone's like, oh, they don't care, like they're frauds or something like that. And I think people are saying the same thing about the Jazz. So I wouldn't be too quick to like count them out. And I think I've said on here before, like, I feel about Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
I think that he's like probably the most competitive player in the game today, in my opinion, like just from watching everyone. And that's not to take away from anyone else, but I don't know. I just think that like their bench has been disappointing. Like Jordan Clarkson, I know he's a guy that's kind of like got a Jamal Crawford type of feel to him. Like, he's not going to be necessarily efficient. He's not really a great facilitator, but he's just going to get you buckets. And maybe that's kind of hurting the team a little bit. I even said on my thing that I uploaded today, like how I think, they're in different lineups, but like Mike Conley needs to be more involved because really he's been playing solid this year. It just seems like he hasn't been able to be as aggressive. And in terms of just the rest of the bench, like for the Jazz, like Joe Ingles or, Royce O'Neal, I mean, he's kind of like on and off, like starting bench. Just seems like they're not really as consistent. The only guy I've kind of been like impressed by is Rudy Gay, and he's missed a few
I've
games.
always been a Rudy Gay fan, who, by the way, he's up there in like, the most points in NBA history. I think he's probably got over 20K if I remember correctly. That dude's just a scorer. I've always been a Rudy Gay fan. I don't know why either. I just loved his game, especially when he was younger. I don't know. I like Rudy Gay. That was a good pickup, I thought, by them too.
I was just looking up to see where he was. So he's like at 17,000.
Also, I'm sorry. I probably butchered that, but
no,
still a lot of points.
It is a lot.
Maybe I was thinking Mello or something when I said that. I don't know.
He averaged like 17 a game for his career. But I don't know. I just think that like the Jazz, like people are going to sleep on this team over and over again. They're going to say they're frauds because like Rudy Gobert can't guard anyone outside the paint, which is something very interesting that I think about, like the whole Defensive Player of the Year award. I think that it is completely got wrong as of late. And that's not to take away from Gobert necessarily, but I don't know. Like, I just think that that's something that needs to be like readdressed. And then, guys like Bogdanovich, like he still has his moments where he can be clutch. But I think Donovan Mitchell is one of those guys as well. I think that he's probably one of the most clutch players in the league. So I don't know. I just think that, like they're probably just gonna like waltz their way into the playoffs, but it's just a matter of like getting it done, at the end.
They're still 15-7 is a good record, and they're 7-3 in their last 10. I feel like I need to quit sleeping on the Jazz and actually watch some games and look into them. And then kind of like in the Eastern Conference, and again, maybe I'm way too standings heavy. Maybe I just focus on the standings too much. But if you look at 4 to like 10, again, like in the Eastern Conference, not much of a difference. I mean, you got a lot of teams like 12 wins, 11 wins. The Timberwolves were playing pretty good. They're 7-3 in their last 10. The Blazers are there. The Lakers, don't get me started on them.
They just lost to their big brother in LA, the Clippers.
But somehow they're 12-12. The LeBron effect, I guess. It's like the West. This is why I love the NBA, man. This is why I like looking at the standings, because like you go on a little bit of winning streak and you're right there. And by the way, I'm claiming it now. My hot take of the day, my stupid hot take. The Houston Rockets have won 5 in a row, and they're going to be in the play-in. I'm just kidding. But shout out to the Houston Rockets. They lost 14 in a row, and then they put Christian Wood in the starting lineup, and they're playing really damn good. So 5 wins in a row for a team that lost 14 in a row, that must feel like huge. So shout out to the Rockets. I hope they make the playoffs. They're totally not going to make the playoffs, but shout out to them. And that's really it, man. Do you have any final thoughts? Do you have any last minute like hot takes or takeaways or anything you want to talk about?
I'm looking. I got one hot take, but I think when you just said it there, like the LeBron effect, and normally how everyone's like, oh, having LeBron and it makes your team better. But this season, I think the LeBron effect is a negative effect. Because, and I'm going to explain, because as we see this year, I mean, Russell Westbrook, that guy is literally, insane. He's almost never going to get injured. It's pretty rare that he ever gets
That's why I
injured.
love Westbrook, man.
And like LeBron, he was like that, but keyword was, like now I feel like he's a little bit more fragile.
I think it was that ankle injury. I think that was what did it. In my opinion.
And even like I feel like even to an extent when you saw the groin in 2019, but I just think like him and AD probably have a bigger history in recent years of being more fragile. And when you look at it like that, like if you took LeBron out of the lineup, I feel like it just makes Westbrook better. I just think it's a better fit for him. And you've seen them play well, like with just Westbrook and AD. You've seen them play well with LeBron and AD, but I don't think you can play well necessarily with LeBron and Westbrook. So if AD were to miss some time, that would be almost maybe the worst thing that could happen for the Lakers, because then it's like you got to play these two guys that both aren't necessarily great shooters. They're able to pass and stuff, but it just kind of like, I don't know, they can't really play too much off the ball necessarily. So I don't know. I just think that it's it's just kind of been negative this year, and it probably will be the kryptonite in the playoffs. Not necessarily him, but just like that mix. You know what I mean?
From what I know and what I've seen out of the Lakers, I honestly think it's everyone else and Anthony Davis. I honestly think it's, Anthony Davis and the bench and how they just need to be doing more. But again, somehow they're 12-12, which isn't the worst record in the league. But it's not great, especially in terms of Lakers. I mean, they're the 7th seed. Could possibly be fighting for a play-in spot or their playoff lives.
I just feel like sometimes though, like, and yeah, it's the regular season. Like you'll probably see a different version in the playoffs, but like I feel like LeBron doesn't take the regular season with the same heart as Russell Westbrook necessarily. And
Westbrook plays every game like it's his last, and I actually love that from Westbrook.
And when you have LeBron out there, like it takes a lot away from Westbrook. I think tonight he had like 10 points, like 9 assists and 2 rebounds, which is okay. But like, Westbrook's capable of doing a lot more than that. Facts. And he has, like when it's just been him and AD, like it's looked like, all right, this is typical Westbrook. But it seems like he shoots a lot worse from the field sometimes, like when he's out there with that combination, even from 3, because I think he's off the ball a lot more. You can't like ease into it with a dribble. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed it, but I think his most patented move is probably that like crossover from right to left, pull up mid-range jump shot, like in terms of shooting. So I don't know. I feel like he's just kind of in a weird spot, like when that happens. So I don't know.
Well, you guys, I think that's it. Once again, I'm sorry if I was a negative Nelly tonight, but I can't preach this enough that we are still 18-1 in our last 19 games. And, the show was fun, man. I feel like we kind of broke it all down for a decent amount of time. Then we talked, about the Bulls and all things NBA. So Super Mario Hoops, as always, thank you for joining me. Tell the people where to find you and, any last minute thoughts.
Nah, I mean, thanks again for having me on. I thought it was a pretty good stream. You guys can find me at Super Mario Hoops 24. It's all one word. And like I mentioned, or really like he mentioned at the beginning, and I, picked up from, I just uploaded a video today with the one and only Romp 2.0.
It's our boy right there.
but yeah, like, I mean, we talked all things NBA. And there might be a little hint of some Phoenix Suns in there somewhere.
Let's go.
So yeah, I mean, you could check out the video just for that simple, clue. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty good stream, and hopefully the Suns can go on a big winning streak until February 7th.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, like we said, February 7th will probably most likely be going live because the Bulls are your team and Suns are my team. So that's going to be a crazy live stream. Can't wait for that. And then, and as always, guys, follow me on social media at Suns Geek on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter. You can also find Super Mario Hoops there. Check out his YouTube channel. All one word, Super Mario Hoops 24 on YouTube. After the stream, I'll link it down below in the description. For those of you who've watched these streams before, you already know who he is. So go subscribe to him. Tell him that Sons Geek sent you. And thank you to everybody who was in the chat. Thank you for everybody who's still watching. I hate to end this somewhat early, even though we've done this for over an hour, but I'm pretty much out of gas. So as always, guys, make sure to Hulk smash the like button and please subscribe for everything Phoenix Suns. If it has to deal with the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to make a video about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. And once I can find my button, I will see you guys next time.